This is an EWB production. Hi, I'm Emmy Birch.
And I am Sandy Thornton, and this is the Take Us With You podcast.
Hey, Sandy, what's the Take Us With You podcast all about?
So glad you asked. In a sea of badness coming out of every news station, let's provide some light, laughter, and levity to this strange time we are living in.
I'm so glad that we're going to be going with you wherever it is you're going. Thanks for taking us with you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Take Us With You podcast. How's it going, Sandy?
It is so good. I am so happy to see your beautiful faces. Welcome to the show, Kimmie. We're so happy to have you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
It's our second guest on this show.
Like every time we bring a friend on, it's like we are just a little bit closer. I don't know. It's so great.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to talk about today, but first, how are you doing? Let's check in.
Doing great. My family is on spring break. My children are. So we got back today from coming to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which I know you have spent quite a bit of time at, Emmy.
Yes.
And we went down to see my husband's family, and we all survived. I didn't leave any kids behind. We're all back.
Good job. Kimmie and I just spent the day working on a fun little passion project, and it's Kimmie's spring break, and it's my spring break day. I have a spring break day.
Lucky you.
Oh, look at that. Mental awareness days? I'm not sure. But all is good, and I'm really excited to talk about this conversation because it ties so well to the last episode. But before we do that, you have to give me some news.
I have news. All right. So where I live in the Midwest, we have this wonderful event coming up, and I wanted to read to you about it. The title of my article is Billions of Cicadas May Be Coming Soon to Trees Near You.
Fabulous.
Now, do y'all have those down where you're living? Yes, they're a thing.
When you walk into Forsyth Park, you hear them. You can hear them.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they're very loud. Well, here we have different broods that cycle through the Midwest, and we are about to come upon the 17-year brood. So I'll read, and then I'll tell you my fun story of searching for apartments for grad school, because it ties in. A big event in the insect world is approaching, starting sometime in April or May, depending on latitude. One of the largest broods of 17-year cicadas will emerge from underground in a dozen states, from New York west to Illinois and south into northern Georgia. This group is known as Brood 10, otherwise known as the Brood of Satan. That was me. That was not the article. I added that. As in the Roman numeral. For about 4 weeks, wooded and suburban areas will ring with cicadas whistling and buzzing mating calls. After mating, each female would lay hundreds of eggs in pencil-sized tree branches. I didn't know that. That's news. Then the adult cicadas will die. Once the eggs hatch, new cicada nymphs will fall from the trees and burrow back into the ground, starting the cycle again. Now, I'm going to leave this for a minute because this is very sciencey and that's all fun and games. But the last time this awful horde of insects came and descended upon us, I was going to go to grad school. And my roommate and I chose the week that they all hatched to go to Cincinnati for the first time and look for an apartment from New York.
Now, are they visible? Like we're talking, you can see them over top the ground?
Coating the roads.
Ooh.
Disgusting. Huge amounts. And we have them in New York where I grew up, but
Dude, I didn't know they came up from the ground.
They're disgusting.
That's sketchy anyway. Why are you gonna go hide in the ground and then come up and be like, what up? We're here to annoy you.
It's a thing of evil if they're coming up from down below. But yeah, so they come up, they burrow down into where tree roots are, lay their little eggies, and then they come on up, have a bunch of bug sex, and then they discard their shells and die. But here's the thing, they don't just exist. They don't just live their happy lives. These things are, one, loud, and two, everywhere, swarming, flying, dive bombing. I am almost
humans, dive bombing you,
yes,
the humans?
Yes, because they fly and they're everywhere. So they're constantly me. And ooh. I don't do bugs well. I'm already having anxiety over it. So this is what's coming my way.
Your face.
Yeah, I'm
anxiety. Okay, so there's. I feel like I'm gonna spin this for you, and I'm gonna give you something that we can all learn from the cicadas that come from underground and dive bomb you. Be loud like the cicada.
Ooh.
They are proud. Be loud like so the next time that you are mad at the cicada, just remember that the cicadas are coming up from the earth to remind you that you can be loudly you. Just like the cicada. How did I do? Was that positive?
That was awesome.
I'm going to be loudly screaming. Yeah. Yes, I'm
gonna need some photos. We're gonna whenever this actually happens, I will need lots and lots of photos.
I will send you photos and video. It's going to be great.
Video.
So
Okay. I might not enjoy the video, but I would enjoy the photos. I don't really want to experience it.
We have an ice cream store that's really local to our area that they also make candy. And the last time this happened, they created a chocolate cicada that they were selling. Shout out to graders.
Wow.
It's kind of like love bugs.
It is kind of, do you have love bugs?
Are they the ones that kind of attach?
They have sex all day long and they fly around.
Yeah, we have them, but I don't know if we have them to the extent that maybe you guys do.
And they're bad.
They're really bad. And if they get stuck on your car, they peel off car paint.
And it smells terrible.
Ew. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, just lots of fun things. And I wish I could get excited about these because it really is this anomaly that only happens, but I'll be living inside while they're happening.
The whole time?
Understandable.
Yep. So that's the article. I mean, I didn't read the whole thing, but you get the gist.
That's the gist. Now we know. Okay. So
cicadas,
lovebirds, no bug bugs.
Nope. Not having it.
All right, I got a dad joke for you. It's super quick, super easy.
Go for it.
It's for Kimmie. Yes. There's a fine line between numerator and denominator.
Oh, I love it.
Kimmie's a math teacher.
I love it.
I also have one for you, my dear friend, who sometimes loves foul language for the right reasons.
Ew.
If a chicken were to speak, would it use foul language? So I have a dad joke for each of my dear friends here on the show, which speaking of which, we've got to get Kimmie introduced. Kimmie, who are you? What do you do?
Well, the short story is I am a teacher.
Excellent.
I love how every time I stress out about like, oh my gosh, someone asked me what I do with my life. And she's like, you're a teacher.
Yep.
She just does it so easily.
Short and sweet. I'm a teacher.
I love it. And what do you teach?
I teach adult education. So I work with students. I am a one-room schoolhouse. Anybody who needs their GED, I work with them for math and science and social studies and reading and writing and language arts.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. I love that. And how long have you been doing that?
Too long. I do not want to admit that because then you will start doing the math and then the age is quite appropriate for how many years I have been teaching. But let's just say it's long enough to know what I'm doing.
That is a perfect response. I love it. But that's not all you do.
Correct.
You do many things. Yes.
But
do.
Before she dives into that, I have to tell you that conversations with Kimmie over the summer when the world went virtual, because she does all of this amazing teaching and has like the best plan for how to reach her students and how to keep track of her students. It's epic. It changed how I organized my online classes at the university level for music and non-music majors. Just the way that you offer live classes, synchronous and asynchronous, the way that you reach out, the connecting points, the different ways to reach different types of students, and just brought a whole new perspective to how I looked at traditional education. So Kimmie's a big part of why my online classes are successful.
I love that. Way to go, girls. Awesome.
Thanks.
But we had all those conversations doing what?
We were running while those conversations happened.
You know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been waiting for your interview because unlike you all, I am, they do the couch to 5K. I'm like couch to stairs. And so I have so many questions about this process and what you all do in terms of marathoning and running. And I'm very curious because I think I represent the group of people that are interested in it and maybe might also want to get into it more but have no knowledge. So
well, before we dive into your questions, if you are listening and you are in the camp of I love running, we're going to tell you great stories. If you're in the camp of Sandy, I'm interested but I'm not sure where to start, we will have good stories. Mm-hmm. If you're in the camp and you're like, I don't do running, I'm turning this off, wait, I promise to transfer this to life by the end. And you're going to walk away with some nuggets for a great day wherever you are taking us with you to go. So, with that caveat, hit us with some questions, Sandy.
Here we go. So, a couple weeks ago, I sent Emmy last week just a novel text because I wanted to know all the things. And so, what was it? What was the impetus, Kimmie, for you that even got you into running in the first place? Like, what was the final thing? Like, I'm doing this.
I came home from a conference. It was May. I was living in Florida. I was super excited to put my bathing suit on. I looked in the mirror and I did not like what I saw.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I can get plastic surgery.
I did not know this about you. I'm so glad you did get plastic surgery.
And it hit me that I am thinking about having elective surgery to change something that if I just put in the time and the effort, I could change myself. So instead of going out to the pool, I put on my shoes and I went for a run, and it was miserable.
Okay, I'm there.
In Florida. It was hot. It was humid. And at the time, I did not run. So I did not enjoy it at all. Okay. And it took me about 6 months before I could run around my entire neighborhood just one time. Not fast, but I could not do it without walking. And it took me 6 months. And when I finally hit that mark, by the way, my neighborhood was only 2.5 miles long. When I finally hit that mark, it felt like I won the Olympics. It was amazing.
Did you have like a plan or something? Did you just start running?
Nope. I just put on my shoes and I went.
Easy. Just put on your shoes and go.
Yep.
Don't give up. Be patient. I'm giving you all those transferable skills about life, even if you're not a runner.
We're doing it now. Stay tuned.
Yep. And.
Well, number 3, you have to have music with you.
We have a podcast for that. Pump up the jams.
Yes.
Pump it up. Awesome. Yes. So, you know, I guess then my next question is, how did you make the transition from being able to run your neighborhood to essentially competing in a race?
Or running 100 miles, because, you know, you do that too.
Yeah.
Well, there was a few years in between.
Okay.
So when I finally ran my neighborhood, I'm like, I can run 2.5 miles. But there are no 2.5 mile races. But there are 5Ks. And a 5K is 3.1 miles. So I was like, I think I can do this. So it took from November to February to build up, to actually get the courage to sign up for a race and to go do it. And when I signed up for my race, it was great, but I did not know anything. I showed up in leggings that I would wear around the house.
Okay.
I showed up in a cotton t-shirt.
All of these things, don't run in these things. Don't do that.
These are no.
That was a no. I showed up in a headband that constantly wanted to slide off of my head.
Don't do that either.
And I did not know a thing about what to do. So I just went out as fast as I could and I tried to hang on for 3.1 miles.
That's also a very bad idea.
Yeah.
You should pace yourself.
But I learned so much, and the people who were there were so fun and they were so nice. And I thought, I want to hang around these people. I want them to be my friends. And then after that, I joined a running club, and the rest, as they say, is history.
History meaning, how many marathons have you run?
45.
How many marathons have you paced?
34.
I've done 3 of those with her. 3? About to be 4.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool, right? What's your longest distance?
100 miles.
What's your favorite distance?
50 miles.
Craig.
Were you nervous that first race?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, because people show up and they look like they know what they're going to do. They've got the gear, and they have all the friends around them, and they line up and they're all super serious with that look. And I'm just like, I want to stay out of the way.
Or the people that are running around warming up, and you're like, oh God.
Or I just want to save my steps.
Right? Or the ones that have like the crops on, and you see like their chiseled abs, and you're like, I'm just going to run in the back now. Thank you.
No, yeah, I don't even know how to pin the number on. So yeah, I would be a terrified mess because that would take a minute.
Yeah, it's even now I can't pin anything on straight. It's always like this or it's like that. But yeah, I went from a 5K to a 10K to a half marathon, and I was hooked.
Maestro is also hooked on the conversation. Maestro, you're not running with us. Be quiet.
I got things to say. As you started this journey, did you notice other changes in other aspects of your life start to take place?
I think I realized that it was really easy to make friends in the running community. And that's because everybody is so nice and so welcoming. And it does not matter if you are old, if you are young, if you are fast, if you are slow. They are just genuinely welcoming of anybody who wants to be a part of it. And I love being able to meet people of different everything, different experiences, different histories. I love finding out why do people run. I heard about stories of great races they had done, and it inspired me to want to do long distance relays, and it inspired me to start thinking about marathons. And it just was such a wonderful time in my life that I think it had some friendships that really grew from there that I didn't realize at the time would be needed for later on when I was going through some really hard things. And without those friends that I met through running, I don't know where I would be right now.
That is awesome. That's kind of an amazing journey. So when you're in the thick of it, when you are running, and this is really a question for both of you, because I know that you're both very active. There's obviously peak moments, and then there's the valley moments. And I would imagine those kick in. I'm not sure when they kick in, but what is that like, and how do you get yourself out of it just to keep going?
Oh gosh.
I know. So we call them dark spots, and they're different on every distance. Like, okay, so we probably don't get dark spots on anything under 10 or 15 now.
No.
Anything, but it's all mental. Like at the start of a training block, when I haven't been training for a marathon, because it's in blocks, you don't just stay in marathon shape all year long. That'd be like a fitness model staying in fitness model shape. Like, no, you go in and out of marathon shape in a way, or pacing shape. Yeah. So the first time you start a training plan and you have like a 10-mile run on a Wednesday, you're like, oh my God, 10 miles on a Wednesday. And by mile 5 or 6, you're kind of dark. And you're like, I don't know, I'm going to do 4 or 5 more. But you start to get experiences, life lesson. The more experiences you have to reference of times you've gotten through hard things or things that you have done successfully, running in the rain, running in the cold, bonking, as in not having enough nutrition. So your body kind of starts to get tired and you're sludging home. Like, those are all things you experience and you get through, and you add those experiences to, oh, I've done that. I can get through this. But the dark spots come at different spots.
It's interesting that I was reading an article just about kids processing things, an educational article. And a lot of times, like, kids, to start something is hard because they can't see the end goal. I think what you just said is you have had these experiences where you've seen the end goal and you know that you are capable and that you can make it through. And because you have that experience, that's your fuel to move through it. And you
have friends too. There was a run a couple weeks ago. I had a longer run than everybody else, and I was really dark. And I just said, hey, I'm in a dark spot, so we're going to go a different route that doesn't take me by my house. And everyone was like, what? You're in a dark spot? You're not even acting like it. But in my mind, the world was black, and I was never going to finish this however long run. And then about half a mile later, I'm like, okay, I'm better. I'm back.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so, all right, you were talking about bonking when your nutrition kind of bottoms out. What you bring things with you, don't you?
Oh,
and I'm sorry if I'm going out of order. I don't know what the order is, because again, I don't know.
There is no order. Just ask your questions. This is there's no order in life. Yes. Like, you don't have to follow anyone else's ruler. If you want to run because you want to feel good in your bathing suit, or I run because I like to stay organized, and it gets my thoughts sorted out and gives me something to focus on schedule-wise, so I can release the schedule in other places and learn to be flexible. It's a learned skill for me here, learning to be flexible. Your fuel has to come from whatever, like, we have different fueling strategies.
Yeah, but that is the best part. You need to try different things.
She calls it bringing snackies.
Yes, we bring lots of snackies.
Where do you put those snackies?
Pockets, vests. Like, sometimes you carry a nutrition vest. You shove them in pockets. Most running shorts have little tiny pockets in the front and the back. And it's surprising how much you can shove in some of those things.
Yes, although don't do what I did, which is when I started running, I would shove all of my gels down my sports bra. The problem is they have really sharp corners on the little foil packets. And so, running 8, 10, 12 miles with these packets just starting to jab you, it is not a good recipe for a pain-free shower afterwards. But yeah, it's anything that you want for fuel. It could be applesauce. It could be chunks of banana bread. It could be
dates.
Yes, it could be grapes. I love taking muffins and then just having a bite of a muffin every few miles.
That does not work for my stomach, by the way. Like, home slice can eat anything.
Pretty much. Pulled pork.
She ate pork on her
No, you
100
cannot.
mile.
Yes.
I had to run it to her. I was like, hold my little thing of running beside her. Here's your pork.
Yep.
Well, I mean, instant protein, I guess,
Yep.
But there's so much stuff on the market, and during all of your trainings, just like everything else, just like with whatever you're trying, you try this, it works, you try that, it doesn't. So then you find out where your sweet spot is. So at this point, we pretty much know what our body needs for certain distances and certain efforts.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's life. I mean, you try out things, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it really doesn't work.
And you don't know until you try it.
What was it, like 2 weeks ago? We reached the end. We had 1 mile left, and I was so hungry. You could hear my stomach growling outside of my body. And I was like, I can't go anymore.
It's 1 mile. We can do anything for 1 mile.
Do anything for a 5K.
Yes.
I love that. I love you can. And talk to me a little bit about like water. How, again, dumb question maybe, but I cannot imagine carrying just like jugs of water on my person.
The vests are actually comfortable.
Yes.
The vests are really comfortable. We like hydration vests.
Yeah. I don't like carrying stuff in my hands.
And I need it in case I'm going to fall. That's a thing.
I prefer not to carry a water bottle in my hand, but I have friends who will carry just a regular water bottle. Like walk into 7-Eleven and pick up a 16-ounce water bottle, and they just carry that and they sip from it. I like my vest because then it's just there on me the whole time. The thing is, I need to remember to drink.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, because when you wear it, it starts to become part of you. So you need to remember that I can't wait until mile 20 to take a sip of water. But same thing with food.
Mm-hmm. And this is all stuff like your body can sustain its energy for about an hour. If you're going to go over an hour, whether that's biking or walking or running, your body runs out of fuel. Mm-hmm. And so learning how to fuel. And so you have to learn your water situation. In the summer here, we don't walk out of the house without a handheld water bottle.
No matter how short the distance.
No matter what. With electrolytes and stuff in it. Because we've all bonked one too many times.
Yes.
So you do add electrolytes into your water? Is that
most of the time? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about having to pee? Is that appropriate?
There is nothing
I win that problem.
Will not talk about.
Okay,
so
it's mental.
Like
a lot of
peeing
times.
and pooping. All runners talk about it. I kid you not.
Really
I worry, like, if you're doing like multiple hours into something, what happens? Like,
okay, but let me turn this around. As teachers, how many times are we in a classroom for 4, 5, 6 hours and we're fine?
Right.
Now, obviously there are exceptions. However, for most days, if we just could not leave our classroom, we would be fine. Right. And in a way, it's kind of the same with running or any sport. You will be fine for a while. It's when your mind starts to play tricks on you, especially at the start of a race. Oh my God. And you will swear that you are about to explode and you need to find the nearest porta potty. And I promise that you don't. And you are a great example of that.
I am the world's best. I'm like, we were doing a run last weekend and we had like 2 sets of a long run. And so like the first was slower and the second was faster. I swear to you, I had to pee so bad. Going into the fast, I'm like, I'm going to have to stop and pee. I'm going to have to stop. Find a porta potty. I got to go. And she's like, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
We get all the way home and I was totally fine.
And going back about 3 weeks, she ran an entire marathon and did not stop once.
I do that often.
If you need to, right? Like there is.
Yeah, you can if you need to.
Yeah. Because you lose time, right?
Yeah. And who wants to stop running and start again?
No,
I think that if I was to sit down, I would not want to get back up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There's no squatting at that point. You're just gonna have to sit on the porta potty.
Yes. I'm gonna live there. I'm gonna live in the porta potty.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that the people that are listening are probably getting close to where they are going. So we've made some life connections here. What's your biggest takeaway, Sandy?
I love that, you both talked about just kind of, this is not something that happens overnight, that you start off maybe with what you can do, and then you push yourself a little bit farther and a little bit farther each time. And isn't that true with most things in life, most new things? Mm-hmm. And I feel really jazzed. I have my treadmill at home and I can go a whole 2 minutes, you guys.
Yay!
But it's a start. It is a start.
It is a start.
Mm-hmm.
You get a good coach and get people you can. I mean, we always ask questions. I'm still like, would you remind me to eat, please?
It's all about who you have around you, and whether it is personally or professionally, in a hobby. The more you surround yourself with positive people, the better the outcome is going to be. And even if it's just those people saying, okay, you're at a low spot, I'm going to help you out.
We need
Sometimes that
in
is
all
all
facets.
that you need. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing to cling to.
Need
Yes.
those
Surround
people.
yourself with positive people, whether it's running, walking, or going up the stairs, or just going into the office and sitting back down in front of the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Although I still think you should run a little bit because it's good for your soul.
It's awesome. It's the best.
Well, you never know what I might do.
I can't wait to see. Hey, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, Kimmie.
Thank you. This was great.
I'm glad we got to do it in person. We're vaccinated together and we run together. She's in my pod this whole time, obviously.
Yes, I love it. Kimmie, it was so nice to be able to pick your brain. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge with all of us and our listeners.
Oh, this was super fun.
I highly recommend you follow Kimmie Lynn Runs on Instagram. Super motivational and inspiring and so much fun. And if you have a race that you want to be paced, Kimmie's your person. So let us know. We can help.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.